My name is Mara Pritchard, and I am 28 years old. I live in Silverwood Valley, a small town where everyone knows everyone else. My life is fairly ordinary, yet it feels like it is harboring secrets just beneath the surface, waiting to explode. I work as an elementary school teacher, a job I adore, and my students bring me a joy I cannot describe. I have a small circle of friends who are genuinely supportive, yet I often feel isolated, as if I do not fit in completely even among those who care for me. My appearance sets me apart. I have an unconventional style, favoring bright hair colors and eclectic outfits that tell the world I embrace my individuality. I have always been proud of who I am, but after the day I consider the turning point of my life, my confidence was shaken deep to its core. Then came the incident that shook my world entirely. It happened during the annual Silverwood Valley Fair. I had worked hard that week, preparing student art projects and coordinating with parents for the event. On the day of the fair, I was excited to see my students showcase their creativity. As I mingled with proud parents and influenced young artists, I was approached by the local queen bee of Silverwood Valley, Melissa Jensen. She was the kind of woman who could cut you down with a smile, and she reveled in her power over others. Melissa had a posse of followers who clung to her like she was the sun, basking in the warm glow of her social status. She approached me with a smirk that made my skin crawl. "Nice art projects, Mara," she said, pretending to be supportive while her tone was dripping with sarcasm. "Too bad no one will notice them with all the other activities going on. Maybe they will just blame you for the weather." Her followers giggled, and in that moment I felt like my heart had dropped into my stomach. I wanted to reply, to lash out, but something made me hesitate. Perhaps it was the fear of being ridiculed further. I took a deep breath and stood my ground, smiling back, but the hurt from her words stayed with me well after the fair was over. Over the weeks that followed, whispers circulated in our small town. I learned that Melissa had taken my moment of vulnerability and turned it into her daily entertainment. The little digs she whispered as I passed her during school drop-offs felt like sharp knives slicing into my confidence. It bred insecurity in me and made me feel like I was a pariah in my own community. While I could still teach with enthusiasm, my private world began to collapse. I often felt like a shadow of my former self, and it hurt. I knew something had to change. With that nagging thought, I devised a plan after a sleepless night filled with frustration. I decided that the best way to deal with Melissa's cruelty was to confront her directly. So, during lunch the following week, I approached her while she was sitting with her friends, surrounded by laughter and self-importance. I mustered every ounce of courage I had and launched into a speech about how her mean spirit was damaging to not just me, but everyone in our small community. I demanded that she stop her bullying. I thought that addressing her directly would shine a light on her behavior and perhaps even evoke an ounce of shame. Instead, what I got were mocking giggles and an avalanche of meanness. "You think your words can scare me? You are just a nobody trying to grasp at straws. Get real, Mara. Nobody even cares enough to listen." As she laughed with her clique, I felt my spirit plummet. My confrontation blew up in my face, and instead of empowering myself, I had only pushed myself further down into a pit of shame and isolation. The rumors intensified. My life felt like a continuous cycle of embarrassment, and I considered leaving town just to escape it all. Yet deep down, a spark ignited. I refused to be just a punchline in Melissa's joke. I started plotting my revenge, not petty and harmless, but something creative and deeply poetic. I knew it needed to be a statement. I wanted everyone in Silverwood Valley to see who the real bully was. I started gathering evidence of her misdeeds, all while maintaining a facade of respectability. I listened to the girls who confided in me when Melissa belittled them, and I documented her words. I even secretly recorded her when she spoke down to others at town events. It was surprising how much darkness could hide behind her perfect facade. Weeks passed, and I slowly collected numerous accounts and recordings of Melissa's mean behavior. I was finally ready to turn the tables. However, just as I was getting ready to confront her again, something terrible happened that made me feel like all my efforts would go wasted. I overheard Melissa talking to a local news reporter at a charity event. She painted herself as a pillar of our community, someone generous and kind-hearted, blindsiding everyone with her deceit. The reporter believed her and published an article highlighting her charity work while completely disregarding my efforts to reveal the truth. Melissa was invincible, it seemed. I felt utterly defeated as I saw my hard work vanish into the background while she basked in the glow of fame and attention. But deep down, I felt that I could not let this go. The moment I hit rock bottom marked a turning point for me. I decided to escalate things further. I utilized social media, with anonymity being my shield. I created an online account just to document her behavior and share it with the world. I started posting stories and evidence of verbal bullying, and the more I posted, the more responses I received from others who had suffered at her hands. To my shock, a wave of support flooded in, and before I knew it, my account had gained traction. The twist came when news of my account reached the townspeople of Silverwood Valley. Soon enough, my small revenge took on a life of its own. One evening, during an outdoor movie night organized by the town, I decided to host my own event after the film. I invited everyone to join me for an open mic, something fun and engaging. But what I really had in mind was a staged confrontation. I invited the entire town to join me as I read excerpts from the stories I had posted online, murmuring in unity over the impact of verbal bullying. I knew Melissa would be there. She would not miss a moment like this to appear central to the community. As I read, I glanced over to her. I could see the smug look fading from her face as the crowd started murmuring in disbelief at the things she had done to tear others down. As I concluded my reading, the crowd erupted in applause. Yet the most poignant moment came next. A woman whom many knew as someone Melissa had bullied stood up and shared her own story about the impact of Melissa's cruelty. One by one, others began to stand and express their experiences, their voices rising together like a crescendo of empowerment. That night became a turning point for our town. Melissa, stripped of her facade, now stood alone, visibly shaken and vulnerable. The audience began to weave their own narratives, questioning her integrity. In the aftermath, Silverwood Valley transformed. I never meant to lead a movement, but people began to embrace the idea that no one should be mistreated. And Melissa, well, she may have lost her grip on her social status, but she also lost a part of herself. I never felt the urge to gloat. Instead, I felt compassion for someone who spent her life afraid to show who she was without the armor of cruelty. Eventually, things returned to a new normal in Silverwood Valley. I continued to teach and inspire my students, and my experiences became the beacon of hope that tore down the darkness Melissa represented. Over time, the whispers became laughter, genuine and free of malice. As for me, my revenge was never about getting back at someone. It was about taking a stand against meanness and reclaiming my life. I had become a voice for others, a reminder that kindness has a ripple effect, and sometimes it takes courage to stand up, even when the world feels impossibly dark.